Hello and welcome. My name is Adam Cannon here with eLearning Brothers. Welcome to this webinar today. Beautiful Tuesday morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today we'll be talking about implementing streaming video into Articulate Storyline, or making the impossible possible. Just a reminder, this webinar will be recorded, and the recording link will be made available a few hours afterwards, as well as later in the week as we post a webinar recap on our blog. We have Danielle Wallace, who is the Learning Director with Beyond the Sky, with us today. So we'll give her just a minute to say hello, and then I'll jump back in for a few more items of business before we give it back over to her. So Danielle, why don't you say hi?
Hi, everybody. So glad you could join us.
Thank you. And so throughout the webinar, Danielle may ask for you to raise your hands, and you can find the raise hands button it's on the bottom of your tool panel there. It should be the very bottom one. And then if you have questions during the webinar, we'll be ready to answer your questions in the questions panel. Either we'll type them in, or if there's something that needs to be addressed directly by Danielle, we'll go ahead and ask them, and she can address those in line as she's going. Just know that we'll get to as many of these as we can, but sometimes we get so many questions that the time doesn't allow us to answer them all. So if we don't get to them, we'll do our best to answer those questions in the webinar recap, or through another means such as email or whatever. And just so you know, one of the things that we like to do after the webinar is we try to follow up as soon as possible. Sometimes it's just to get feedback so we can improve our webinar presentation. But most of the time we'd like to touch base and find out if anyone needs some one-on-one clarification about our webinar topics after the fact. So I think that's all the business. So without any further ado, I will turn things over to you, Danielle.
Great.
So let's go ahead and make her a presenter.
Great. Welcome to today's talk. The topic is the seemingly impossible: editing, streaming video, and storyline. What I'll be sharing today is a very concise, practical session with some very useful resources and tips that you'll be able to implement right away. Just a little bit about myself. As mentioned, I'm the founding partner and instructional designer at Beyond the Sky, where I provide custom learning solutions and have the privilege of working with a lot of leading-edge organizations across North America. We marry the best practices in marketing plus the solid instructional design to create learning that sticks. So I do have a lot of experience working on a shoestring budget and with creative hacks, which is where today's talk comes into place. I'm not a storyline expert. Instead, what I will be sharing with you is tips that everybody can use when using storyline. These are really quick, easy tricks, and I like them because they help make my courses better. Likewise, I love the eLearning Brothers for the creative templates and images as well. Again, it really makes my courses better. So with that theme, I like to open up the first poll. And with that, I would like to, in this first poll, to get a gauge as to how familiar you are with Articulate Storyline. And it can be any version of Storyline. So just select your most accurate response. You're an expert, you use it in your sleep, you're very familiar, hey, you use it almost every day. General, you got general use of it. Limited familiarity, you can maybe program some basic courses, or you're pretty new to it. You have a free trial version now, but you hope to learn more. So go ahead and submit.
So we're getting some responses in. We'll give it about 5 more seconds to get your response in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and thank you.
Okay, great. So we're seeing that 42% are very familiar and use it every day. Fantastic. 9% are experts, which I may call on you to help share some wisdom with the group. And there's various other 40% there that are new to general use. That's fantastic. And in terms of the next question I have is on the next poll is videos. So I'd like to get a gauge as to how many people are using videos in your e-learning right now. either you actually embed these already, great. You know, for simplicity, maybe just send people the links instead, so you have some other workarounds, or you didn't even know you could embed videos. So we'll get a gauge on this as well.
Okay, and we'll give that like 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done.
Okay, great, good. So most people embed videos already, which is good because I actually won't be teaching that. I do have some links that I am able to share that walk step by step on how to do that. And I see actually 27% are sharing the video links directly instead, or something similar thereof. What I'll be sharing with you today will be very practical, an easy way for you to be able to edit and embed streaming videos. So thank you for that. So covering today specifically, I will talk about the benefits of clipping streaming video, how to do it, and I'll get you to be able to do it. And I'll show you a quick way to test it. So again, some free creative hacks to make your courses better. In terms of the issue that we're talking about, so this all originated from a request I had, sort of an urgent request to do in 2 weeks. I think we've all been there. But due to budget constraints in this instance, we needed to use e-learning with existing videos that already were on YouTube. And we were not able to create our own videos. And importantly, these videos that existed were important from a credibility standpoint. However, we needed to adhere to copyright guidelines, of course. So that means we could not edit nor download and embed them into an e-learning. It's important it's important always to not just download them, because then you're not appropriately crediting the video producers with the page views or respecting the intellectual property. However, because what a lot of us are doing, I saw on the second poll, was embedding them, which is great. But in this case in particular, there was a lot of unintended message that the video showed, and they were very, very long in their nature. I really only wanted to focus learners on select portions of the video. I also didn't want to have inappropriate video suggestions showing in a playlist, and I needed to omit certain sections of these videos, but all while respecting the owner's intellectual property. So if you're in a situation like this, what would you do? Just type your responses into the question pane, and we will synthesize those there. I've had a lot of people in the, while I wait for your responses, I'll summarize what feedback I've had in the past, which people tended to, direct the guidance is shooting a simple, inexpensive video. So shooting something very quick and simple, it gets a point across. And that's actually some of what I'm seeing right here. Otherwise, people often find other ways to deliver the video with deliver the content without the video, which is what Melissa is saying. Using Vimeo. Similar challenge we have on this, Mark and others. We're not, we needed to respect the intellectual property of whomever the video owners were, as they had it shared. And other workarounds. There's other workarounds that people are suggesting here as well. Adam, would you like to summarize some of the other responses that you're seeing?
Yeah, so let's see. So they talk about, like you say, using some of the other software. Sometimes they say they produce it myself. Use a web object, you insert it as a web object in special HTML settings. They download an MP4 and edit with a rudimentary editor, since you don't have access to Premiere, iMovie, or Final Cut. Susan says she doesn't even use a video. So there's a lot of those that are, other software to do. One person says they use a closed caption to credit the rightful owner.
Mm.
And then there's a few that say they've not been in that position, or they always
Yeah,
ask for the permission to use, which,
definitely.
as we all know, can be somewhat tedious too.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely thank you for everybody for those responses. That's great. And the challenge we had here is, these are summarizing some of what you said today. The challenge really that we have is that we couldn't edit it. Like we did seek permission from the owners, but it was for it to be streamed. So we had to stream the videos, and we really did not want to show the entire clip. We couldn't, but yet we couldn't edit it. So we don't want to show the whole thing, yet we can't edit it. Left us in a bit of a handcuff, and we had to do it right away. So we continued to use Storyline 2 for this, and given our no budget for additional hacks, we proceeded to find a creative solution. So that's what I'll be sharing through today, is being able to embed yet edit streaming videos. I'm going to get all of you to go out to this link here, and it'll be shown as an example in the chat window. If you could click the link, and if you could insert the link or insert the link into the chat window. And then what you'll be seeing here, you'll be clicking on the link that shows in the chat window. That's right there right now. And as you go to it, you'll see an example of what I'm talking about. So I'm an example from the course that shows how this video is edited, yet is still streaming. When you have finished watching the video, can you please use the hand raise feature? That's the bottom icon on your icon panel. And as you are watching this video and then later raising your hands, you'll notice that it is streaming. So the intent was to show a first-person narrative into the course, to bring a lot of realism, to bring a lot of meaning to this topic, and it was very important. Very important both in the sense of adding credibility, so having a respected speaker share, and also credibility in the professional quality and the authentic first-person experience. I think a lot of people are in the process of watching this video and have finished it. As you are watching it and finishing up watching, notice in it that you can see the YouTube symbol on it. So you'll see the YouTube symbol on the bottom right-hand corner. Notice also that you can see the closed captioning feature on it as well, which is great. By the way, okay, I should preamble though. It's great once the closed captioning gets fixed up. Sometimes new videos are a bit more dicey, but great to have the closed captioning feature. And then as you continue to watch and use the raise hand feature when you finish, please, you'll notice that if you see on the time bar on the bottom left-hand side above the speaker icon, you'll notice that it is only playing a small portion of this 14-minute video. Again, not appropriate to show the entire 14-minute video, and yet we needed to respect the intellectual property here. I'm seeing a lot of people with their have finished watching the video and have noticed that it only is playing a small portion of the entire segment length. One thing to keep in mind, if you are in a situation where you don't have internet, this won't be working, but hopefully it is working sufficiently for yourself.
And Danielle, I'm seeing a few comments where they're not seeing the video or they're only hearing the audio. Sometimes that's a browser issue and how it runs in HTML5. So I've found that if if you're running in Chrome, try switching over to Firefox or Edge or Internet Explorer and try running the video there.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, different browsers handle things differently, but it should work in one of those browsers.
Yeah, and there's some alternative links that are I've listed for other browser types on the right-hand side. And even interesting, if you just are hearing audio only, is that it's just a small portion of the entire TED Talks. So this, in essence, is what we are seeking to be able to produce. A short clip of the video that yet respects the owner's integrity, because this is still streaming on YouTube. If you actually click the YouTube, the words YouTube, it takes you to the actual YouTube page, and you can see everything else like you would normally see on a YouTube video, and you can watch the entire thing. You can also watch the entire thing if you simply adjust where the timing marker is. Again, the timing marker is located above the speaker icon on the bottom left-hand side of the video. You can play the entire thing. So we are not preventing users from watching the entire video. We instead are focusing them on the key parts that are of most interest to this course, all the while respecting the common, this is under Commons, Creative Commons license, respecting those license properties. So now I will show you actually how to create this. There's 3 simple steps, and as I go through this, I'm going to get you right now to actually put the hand lower icon down, just so we can clear hands. Thanks, you everybody. So we can clear all those hands out. So there's 3 simple steps in order to be able to create this embedded code. And what I'm sharing with you today is a real simple cheat that honestly we all can do, no matter how well we code and can program or not. What I'll be sharing with you is the first step, which is obtaining the video start and stop code. So you can, one really simple way of doing it is by going to this website as listed here. I'll share the URL. Could you share the URL to a website? So you go to this website here, and you are actually able to insert or copy and paste the URL that you want and the timestamps that you want accordingly. It isn't a secure site though, so I do want to caution that if you know, for organizational privacy reasons or such, it's a public site. And it accepts videos that are from YouTube. It doesn't auto-clip them if they're from TED Talks directly or Vimeo. And there's other workarounds we have for that. But if you take a look at my screen here, what this is showing is what that is on that website. So you simply insert in, you copy and paste the YouTube video URL. You insert in what time you want the video to start, when you want it to stop, if you want it to autoplay or loop or such. So I'll go ahead and fill those in. So I want to start at 60 seconds, stop at 120 seconds. That was it. And I entered my URL. And then it spits out, if you take a bit of a closer look here, it spits out this link that you can embed in Storyline. And for everybody who's familiar with how to embed links, this is really simple now. You click on Make My Share Link. So that is the one that you will be using to embed into Storyline. This other link here, if I show my screen on this next portion of it, this embed link, this is really good if you want to do some quick web testing, and I'll show you a way of doing that. It's optional though, but just again for some easy creative hacks, that is the link you'd use for web testing. So once you have that code from the Make My Share Link code, you copy and paste that into Storyline. I saw that many of us are familiar with how to embed video into Storyline. You just insert the video from website feature, and with that, you're actually able to copy and paste that particular embed code into Storyline. And just click the Insert button. So you'll notice here in this code, you can see that it is showing the number 60 and the number is 120. So it auto-calculated what programming, the language that I needed, but you can see it right there. It's starting at 60 and stopping at 120. That's it. That is how simple it is to be able to edit and start and stop the code accordingly. I'm going to give you an opportunity now to try this out. So if you add on the third set of links with a URL tool on the testing site, Adam, you can copy and paste these links. The first link is that link I've already shared with you prior, which shows which gives you automatically the code, a really easy way to get the code to insert into your articulate. And then the second one, as you go ahead and try that out, pick a video off of YouTube and just any random video, try it out. And then while you do that, I'll talk a bit about with the benefits of having a testing link. So the benefits of having a testing site is for situations like now where you just want to be able to quickly, easily test and see, in this case, the video, where it is starting and stopping. For both these URLs I provided to you as like quick tools, they're free. There's no registration required. There's nothing required. They, again, as I mentioned, they are publicly available, so just want to say that from again a firewall standpoint or privacy standpoint. They're open. What I like in particular for quick web testing with embedded video that I'm editing is it allows me to pinpoint exactly where I want it to start and stop. So maybe it's not at 60 seconds, maybe it's at 62 seconds. Maybe I needed to stop at 58 seconds. That refinement I find helpful in order to be able to hone in on exactly the right sections. You'll also notice as you are doing this testing that you'll see the ending screen. It can be very important. I've developed some courses where I have the ending screen ends on a very unflattering image of the person in the video just by virtue of where I happen to make it stop. So rather than go into storyline and publish it, and that just takes a while, even just to load it up takes such a long time, a really quick trick is just using a testing site to be able to, and there's so many out there. What I've shared in my link is just one that I thought was the simplest, and again, no registration required. So as you are using the tool to get the code, and then as you are either using it in Storyline for a quick test or as you're using it on this website for testing, use the hand raise feature to indicate that you are doing this or in the process of doing this. Thank you.
And while they're doing that, do you want to address some of the questions that are coming across in the questions panel?
That'd be great. For you? Thank you.
Okay. So let me start off here. And you may have addressed this. It says, does this only apply to YouTube videos or to any streaming video service?
So great question. Thank you. This can apply to any video streaming service. However, this tool that gives you this code is only works for YouTube. So what you'll need to do instead is you would need to look back and sort of copy the code. I'll just show you here. If you look at the style of code, you'll have to determine where you would insert your own your own start and stop. So it can be done, yes, but this as a quick tip is a lot easier from YouTube.
All right. Another question. Matthew asks, will this process work in Articulate Rise?
Oh, it should. I've not tried it actually, but it embedded video. Yeah, it should, because it's basically this just functions as any typical like HTML code, like any code. So I don't see why it doesn't, but I can look into that. I've not tried it on Rise. That's a good question.
There's another one that says, I assume I can embed it also on Camtasia or any other authoring tool or even my website, correct?
So yeah, definitely websites. I mean, that's where this originated from. I've seen it on Captivate. I've not tried it on Camtasia. So would presume so, but I've not tried it myself.
Okay. And obviously, somebody mentions, that their company blocks YouTube, so this process probably doesn't work in that case, correct?
Yeah, so the challenge with this, because it is a streaming service, is that you do need permission to, in this case, access YouTube. It depends on what sites your company blocks. If they don't block TED Talks, you could actually just insert the direct TED Talk code in instead, like the actual code. So this would be the code from TED Talks. But yes, one thing I do want to mention is that, yeah, your organization needs to permit streaming video.
Okay, and then one more, and again, this may have been addressed. Will ads still play?
Great question. So I've been using this a lot, and to be honest, I have not seen any at all. The one caveat I give you is I'm sure Google will find an algorithm to change that. But I've been using this, so with any video, any embedded video I do it to stop before it ends. So I stop like 3 seconds before it ends, so you don't see the playlist of future videos you might be interested in. And I do it like a few seconds in, and I don't get any of the ads that come in. So it's been great. But because it is a streaming and because the video is hosted on YouTube, owned by Google, maybe at some point in the future, Google may figure out how to stop that. But for now, it's been really good.
Okay, and then somebody asks, can you use Articulate Review to test the code?
I've not tried that.
Okay, and then why don't you just use the embed link in the final storyline project?
So you could use, so I don't quite understand the question. You could, I mean, you would, the intent here is that we're editing it. We're editing so we're only showing a small portion of the streaming video. For testing purposes, definitely. I mean, normally we would use what we publish out, or as a testing, the testing in storyline itself. What I find, there's just like a lot of fiddling I need to do sometimes, so I like this as an easy way to, importantly for the purposes of today, where I don't think everybody has time to go into storyline.
Okay, yeah, and then all right, and that pretty much covers most of the questions we're going to answer. There are a few more that are coming that we may get to at the end, but we'll let you go ahead and continue.
Yeah, so some other things I wanted to discuss here was this can be used for a variety of different means. So some of that is looping an embedded video. You can have it, continuously play. There's different reasons for that. You can play only a portion of the video in the middle. You could even clip what I was mentioning before, clip the last few seconds, which I highly recommend to avoid other suggested videos playing. Highly, highly recommend that. Importantly, it doesn't get learners distracted by viewing what could be often inappropriate videos, other ones that they may see. I also use this to clip at the beginning as well. Some other questions that I get is, will it work behind company firewalls? That's one question I get. And for that, again, it depends what is accepted by the company. So you have to do testing, obviously, within your company firewalls to see what sites are permitted or not, or what other restrictions are in place. So I see a lot of us have tried it out and have seen how this can very, very simply work, which is fantastic. For those that have tried it and for everybody else on the line, we'd love to get your ideas as to how you might be able to use this editing streaming video feature. If you could type into the question panel, we'd love to get your thoughts. Seeing some great responses coming in here. And in general, I'm seeing that this can avoid some of the workarounds to be able to share videos and share only a portion of the videos. Adam and Andrew, can you summarize some of the responses?
Yeah, so we're seeing that they use hotspots for hyper video, definitely good for intro into a fuller video later in the course, so sort of a teaser or a trailer.
That's a really good idea. Wow.
Yeah. Allow me to make a single video but link to portions only certain people need to see in different sections of an e-learning, so sort of a branching type scenario, I'm guessing. Natalie says it allows you to focus on the right message to be spread. So those are some of them that are coming through.
Those are fantastic ideas, everybody. Thank you. It's always nice to hear from the community about how we can all make these tools work for all of us and make them even better. With that, would like to get a sense as to how useful these tips and tricks were. If we could bring up the last poll. And while that's going, I encourage everybody afterwards to try and play around with this on your own time. Within the confines of a webinar, there is not as much time to be able to play with it, but I encourage you to be able to test it out. See if this is something that you could use in your course to give you another tool for your toolkit, especially one that comes at no cost and is pretty straightforward to use.
So we'll give you about 5 more seconds to answer the poll, and then Danielle, there's a question we probably ought to address once that poll's done. So we'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Okay, great. So I'm glad people are finding this practical and useful. Again, easy hacks and easy tips to be able to make all of our courses better.
So, Danielle, one of the questions that has come across, and you addressed this at the beginning, was the copyright issue. Maybe if you can elaborate a little more on how this solution fixes or addresses those copyright issues.
Yes, thank you for asking this. So with any publicly available video, you need permission to use it. Just because it is shown on YouTube does not give you permission to download it nor share it in a learning environment. So what we did is we asked permission from all the owners of the video. You can find that by looking at the looking at some of the contact information on the video, and some of the videos we didn't choose because we couldn't get permission. TED Talks are under common license, so that gives you a lot more leeway. What you'll see if you read, and I encourage you to actually read the legal terms and guidelines from Google, who owns YouTube, so I actually encourage you to read that. But our interpretation and our lawyer's interpretation was that with the streaming video and permission to use, it enabled the right credits back to the owner of the video. It was preserving their intellectual property. We were not adjusting, altering, editing their intellectual property anyway. That's why we couldn't just download it and edit it in like Premiere or something, because it's their intellectual property. So the solution, which owners were happy with as well, enabled us to be able to allow them to get their page counts and associated revenue, and it also didn't restrict learners from only watching a small portion. If they wanted to, they could watch all 14 minutes of the video as an example. So again, I encourage you to read the YouTube terms and guidelines. They're a bit convoluted, but we felt confident in our decision of streaming editing video.
Okay, and a few more questions. One about what will happen if the original YouTube video gets taken down or moved?
Yes, so fantastic question. This is a real issue because it is their intellectual property. They could, without notice, take the video down. That's why we like sites such as TED Talks as an example, which are more likely to stay, and also other first-person, like actual, like the CBC, it's our CBS itself, not just somebody copying off CBS. Like we went to the actual owners of the content.
Okay. And then a question on the firewall issue. Is the firewall issue only when designing or also when viewing? I design courses for other organizations to view. If using this and the other organizations may not allow YouTube, is that going to be an issue?
Yeah. So the issue is with the viewing organizations. That is where the issue is. So if I work with a lot of various organizations with various levels of access or not access to public videos. So if they don't allow YouTube as an example, then this is not the best solution. You'll need to find out some other workarounds that are within, still protecting people's intellectual property. What I've seen from most organizations, though, is they would allow, like there is certain ones that they do allow, or that they pay to. Some organizations I've worked with have actually paid TED Talks to be able to host TED Talks on their own internal portal, as an example. And then there, it's fine. Are there other questions I can answer?
Yeah, so there was, so in general, have you run into any problems with in using this this tool or this tip in an LMS? Have you run into LMS compatibility issues?
So I have not run into LMS compatibility issues. We do our testing like very, very early on to see if there's compatibility. We all know there's various different LMSs though, and all various different adherence protocols and what they accept and don't accept. So I would encourage you to test early on. Okay.
And then again, just to clarify, this is a streaming video, so there's not really a way to make the videos available offline, correct?
No, the whole intent is that it has to be streaming because it's not ours, like it's not my video to own.
Okay. So yeah, it looks like that's pretty much it. There's some people who are asking questions about the embed code. They're getting an error code. A video cannot be inserted from this embed code. Verify that the embed code is correct and try again if there are things that you've, if you've encountered that or any suggestions that you've got that they can try.
It might be, there's two links here. One is Make My Share link, which is the one you'd actually use when you're using Storyline for real. This other one, this embed link, is just used for testing. Like it's just used for testing. So that would be the one to use.
Okay. So the embed link is when you're testing it, and the Make My Share link is when you're actually placing it into your course.
That's right. Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah. And the whole idea of this testing is completely optional because you could just test it in Storyline.
All right. One person says the Make My Share link is where the problem was. So I don't know if that.
Oh, that link is only used inside Storyline. That's why.
Okay.
That's why. That won't work on a web testing site.
Okay. Well, if there's Danielle, I'll let you wrap up, and then we'll turn it back over to me, and I'll do some wrap up as well.
So thank you, everybody, for your great participation today, and thank you so much for actually going and trying this. Thank you to everybody who took some action and went to test this out yourself. And I do encourage you to try it, to play with it, to see what's possible. Again, this helps us make, as a community, it helps us make better learning solutions. If you like infographic summary I have of these tips that I've shared today, just send me an email and I will just email it to you. Thank you so much for all this great conversations.
So again, and a reminder that, as Daniel mentioned at the beginning, we've got a lot of free tools that can help you in your course design, whether with Storyline or Captivate or any of the tools, and we'd love to have you reach out to us. But hopefully this all made sense to you and you didn't miss anything, but a reminder that we did record this, and so it will go out to anyone who registered for the webinar, so not just those who attended, but those who registered will get it. And then in a few days, we will also post on the eLearning Brothers blog, we will post a webinar recap in which we'll try to answer maybe a few of the questions that we didn't get to or that were a little bit outside the scope of this webinar. But there will also be a lot of people who are who may still have some questions. You're welcome to reach out to Danielle or to us directly at eLearning Brothers through the phone number or the email address that you see on the screen. If you're interested in more information or need help, please feel free to do that. We'll be sending an email to all of you that will include the recording, the links to the links that Danielle included, as well as links to some of the eLearning Brothers free templates and our contact information. So be looking for that email. So we say thank you to Danielle for a fantastic webinar, and everyone else, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you later.
Thank you, everyone.